Adidas Cup, as we have a headline matchup for you to finish off our coverage of the first day. Sporting Kansas City against Real Madrid. Kickoff delayed just a little bit due to a penalty kick shootout between Independiente del Valle and Atlanta United. So we're bringing you the kick here in just moments. I'm Carter Augustine, and I'm joined by Bobby Warshaw. And Bobby, this has all the looks of a very tasty tie to end up our coverage today on the first day of Generation Adidas Cup 2018.
It does, Carter, and I hate to be obvious, but anything with Real Madrid is exciting. But it's also nice to see Real Madrid take on one of the best academy teams that MLS has to offer. The Sporting KC squad has had a very good season so far, and it feels like if we're going to send anyone out from MLS to take on Real Madrid to start the tournament, Sporting KC is the worthy choice.
Of course, Sporting Kansas City topping the western region of qualifying, finishing ahead of the likes of LA Galaxy and Portland Timbers. And their reward is a group with Real Madrid, New York City FC, and Club Atlético Paranense. Those two already battled early on this afternoon. NYCFC reduced to 10 men, and Atlético Paranense coming away with all 3 points. So these two teams know that one team has already started off the group stage with all 3 points.
All 3 points and goal differential, winning the game 3-0 in the end, which means at some point they don't just need to take points and make up those, but they also need to make up the goals to win the group, adding every single play and every single opportunity to be even more important in this game, in which they already probably would have been.
Of course, that first game in the group, so important. And as we mentioned, Atlético Paranense getting off on the right foot. That's what these two teams will be looking to do today, as we see the captains exchange pleasantries before the match.
I always love this. These are some of my favorite things about soccer. Little things like the look of the captain's armband, when they exchange the club banners. I love those little details.
A nice little keepsake to take away from this tournament as well. And as these teams start walking out to the center circle with the referees, let's go ahead and get the lineups for you out of the way. As start with the MLS side, Sporting Kansas City. In goal, they'll have number 1, Max Trejo. And I love this, Bobby. They're actually numbers 1 through 11, so it's very easy for us commentators. Old school. So you got the left back, number 3, Mitch Ice. Number 5, the left center back, Abdul Nadi. Cave Rad, one of the brothers in the starting lineup for Sporting Kansas City at right center back, and at right back, Keith Peterson. In the midfield, the other brother, Jahan Rad, will hold with Cameron Duke and Ryan Fessler. And then up top, Gabriel Finley, Gianluca Busio, and Tyler Freeman in that 4-3-3 that, of course, Sporting Kansas City is known for from their first team. Meanwhile, for Real Madrid, Tony Fuidias as the keeper, Julio Javier, Sergio Santos Fernandez, and Diego along the back line, Jorge Martin Camunas, Doutor Diaz, and Alvaro in midfield, and up top, Vasi and Latasa. Of course, many of these Spanish players going by just their first name or a variation thereof.
And they're listed as a 4-4-2, but I'm interested to see how they actually come out. If that morphs into a 4-4-1-1, some kind of 4-3-3. Real Madrid has the options to play multiple variations with the talent pool that they can collect into the club. 4-4-2 known to be a simpler formation, so don't be surprised to see that morph into something a little more complicated, a little more fluid than a generic 4-4-2.
Going to be really exciting to watch how Real Madrid line up in this one and how it will match up against that 4-3-3 for Sporting KC.
And Carter, I can tell you, having played in similar games when I was 16 against big clubs like Juventus, Ajax, PSV, that the nerves are there for Sporting Kansas City. Nerves, excitement, question marks. Are you good enough as a player to play with the world's best? Is your club good enough? What are they good? How good are they going to be? So a big part of these first 2 or 3 minutes for Kansas City is just making it feel like it's a regular soccer game, like the games you've played your entire life. Yes, Real Madrid is on the jersey across from you, but you're on this field for a reason and because you're good enough.
Butterflies in full effect at the start of the match here as we are fully underway. Of course, Real Madrid playing in their famous all-white strip. They'll be going from right to left against a very forceful wind here in Frisco, Texas. Meanwhile, Sporting Kansas City in their dark indigo strips.
And Sporting Kansas City has the wind at their back. Real Madrid playing into the wind. We've seen a lot of teams on day one, if they have the wind at their back, they've pressed the opposition. Sporting Kansas City choosing not to do that, sitting in a middle block in the middle of the field with tight lines. We'll see if they adjust that after they get their bearings for a few minutes.
Here's a good cross to the middle, and it's tipped onto the crossbar. What a fantastic save by Trejo.
Excellent reactions from Trejo. The ball was right there. He puts himself in a good position, and then to get his hand up like that, very impressive from the young player.
Danger already from Real Madrid. It looked like Latasa was the man on the end of it. He's a big number 9 up top, and you can see he poses an aerial threat early on as well. So now Sporting trying to get some possession here in the early going.
Sporting a little rattled in this moment, already a little nervous coming into the game. The Real Madrid chance in the first couple minutes, you can see they're uncomfortable. I'd like to see them press a little harder, because one way to get the nerves out is obviously Carter just running. And it sounds so simple, but sometimes if you just sprint around the field, it makes you forget about the moment. And it feels like sitting deep like this and waiting for Real Madrid to come only exacerbates that.
So we'll see if Sporting elects to sit back or if they do press up a little higher. Here's some danger early on. Abdul Nadi able to just get that one away, and Sporting can keep possession. There's a miscommunication along the back line, but Abdul Nadi was there to help out his left back, Mitch Eyes.
Somebody from Sporting needs to stretch the game right now. Real Madrid playing a high line, they're pressing. When that happens, you need at least one person to stretch behind and make the defense think about your movement.
One back by Gabriel Finley. And here's an opportunity for Sporting to push into the Real Madrid defensive half. Bobby, you talked about the nerves of playing against a club like Real Madrid. I got a chance to talk to Michel Ribeiro, who is a new technical coach hired last summer for Sporting Kansas City to focus on technical aspects all throughout the club. And he said, yeah, it is Real Madrid, but these kids can't be scared, because if they're scared, they won't make it as pros.
And this is something I've been talking a lot about in other games with David Goss, that as we look at our 17-year-olds develop, our country's best players, we talk a lot about passing and trapping and shooting. There's a huge emotional element to that. Feeling confident, feeling comfortable in all these different situations, knowing how to manage tough games like this.
There's a swashbuckling run through the middle of the Sporting midfield, but in the end, Sporting able to deal with it just enough. And then Keith Peterson, his pass goes out of bounds.
And Carter, it's something we talk about a lot with players from my cohort, who played in these games 10 years ago. And yes, these players are probably better passers and better possession players, but we wonder if it's too much to that end, trying to find beautiful soccer, and there's a loss of that grit, of that ability to compete. And that's why these games are so important against new opponents, highly competitive environments with a trophy on the line, to force these kids to find ways to win and make it hurt if they lose.
What better way to start a tournament off than by playing Real Madrid? Like you said, this is the perfect opportunity for Sporting Kansas City.
And as we watch this game, it may or may not come into play, but what we found playing these games, and what's generally true about these teams, is that through the run of play, Real Madrid isn't that much better. But to make yourself a better player, you're just more efficient. You're more clinical in the final third. So Sporting Kansas City is going to have to limit the opportunities Real Madrid gets, because Real Madrid will probably take them at a slightly higher rate and efficiency than most teams that Sporting Kansas City plays.
There's a strong challenge from Abdul Nadi. He's won the ball back for Sporting Kansas City along the far side. Gianluca Busio, of course, signed to a senior contract with Sporting Kansas City and has been with the MLS side for the majority of this season. Still just 15 years old. It's an awkward header back towards Real Madrid's own goal. There's Cameron Duke giving chase, and now a foul up near the halfway stripe. Speaking of Gianluca Busio, Bobby, he's one of several players, count them 5 in the starting lineup for Sporting Kansas City, that were here last year as younger players playing up a group. Hopefully that experience should serve them well in this competition this season.
And it appears to, as you said, in qualifying they won their group. They're a team that's really hitting their stride right now.
It's a good slide tackle to break up play there from Dotor for Real Madrid. And now Jorge Martin Camunas. Some nice skill along the far side.
One thing I like in the early stage of this game for Sporting is the balance in the center midfield. Duke and Rad, as one steps, one drops into the hole just in front of the center backs. It allows them to both get pressure on the ball, but also keep balance and protect the danger zone in front of the back four. You can see the piston-like motion as one steps, one drops, and they keep on shifting as the ball moves laterally in Real Madrid's midfielders in front of them.
A lofted pass into the area. Trejo drops it initially, but is able to pounce onto it. Wind has died down just a little bit. It was just horrible throughout the entire day. And the sun has actually popped out for the first time as well this afternoon.
For those listening not in Dallas, those are relative phrases. Wind dying down and sun coming out right now.
Just a little glimmer of sunshine is a welcome sight. It's been a windy and cloudy day here. First day of the 2018 Generation Adidas Cup. I don't know about you, but when I saw 60s in the forecast, I wasn't expecting to be chilly out here on the fields today. Real Madrid now knocking it around the back line. Of course, talk about Sporting Kansas City and their players wanting to prove themselves. Real Madrid not exactly known for bringing players through La Fabrica. Tough to make the senior team when you have Galacticos being bought for world records every single year, it seems.
Now more so than ever, Zinedine Zidane, who really carved out his coaching teeth in the academy for Real Madrid, really has made an effort to bring players through. But you're right, it's one of those clubs that's always hard to do. If they can spend $150 million on a player, it makes it that much tougher for an academy player to get through the ranks.
You talk about Zidane, and actually Raul just this week was named as a academy coach of the future for Real Madrid. So he is one of the few success stories, or maybe not one of the few, but certainly one of the best. So there's a foul in midfield. Maybe that will allow a bit of insight as well to these young players and their pathway to the Real Madrid first team.
Zinedine Zidane's son still in the program?
Enzo?
Is he still in the reserve squad, or he just got loaned out, right?
I think so, yeah. He's getting up there, too. There's a dispossession in midfield. Dotor, he's done that a few times in the early stages here. He'll spray it wide left. Overlap coming from the fullback. That's Julio, and he plays it back now with Camunas. Madrid players wanted a foul, nothing given, and now there's something giving on the immediate aftermath challenge. So it will be a free kick for Real Madrid, and we already seen that big number 9 Latasa up top. He poses a threat in the air.
Like Finley's competitiveness early in the game, through the first 13 minutes, he's already mixed it up a couple times. He's closed down the ball well. In the early stages of a game like this, against a new opponent, against a big-name opponent, that's what you want to see. You want to see guys who are up for the moment, up for the occasion.
Now it's up to the goalkeeper and the defensive shape on this set piece to be up to the occasion.
Big gap in front of Trejo right now. They're going to try and land it just around the penalty spot, but that's a big space in between the KC defenders and Trejo.
Alvaro delivering. It's a decent ball in. Tough position to try and hook a shot from behind yourself, and it goes out of play. Danger avoided there for Sporting Kansas City on that free kick.
Interesting to see Kansas City splitting their center backs right now, trying to play out of this. Real Madrid taking the initiative and pressing.
It's a big diagonal. It's going on over the head of Julio. He did just get a little nick on it, and that was important as well.
But that's okay. Good problem solving by Abdul. He saw the press come in. He lured them in, And he read the situation. Whenever you press, there's always going to be a gap somewhere on the field, and it's about the attacking team finding that, and that's what Sporting did there.
Now Finley into the corner. He's hoping for a run there along the end line, and it's an easy ball for the goalkeeper Tony Fuidias to pick up.
And here, as expected, Sporting starting their pressure higher, 15 minutes into the game. Freeman leading it. The ball goes back. Freeman steps. Buzio steps with him.
There's a lump forward that gets caught up in the wind. Finley again trying to hold up play against Julio. This is a nice battle emerging along the right-hand side of the Sporting Kansas City attack.
That's a moment there that Freeman needed to keep Real Madrid on one side.
There's a poor giveaway from Santos Fernandez and leads to a Sporting attack moving forward. Tried to lay it off there. Did Fessler, but it's a little too strong for Buzio. And you can hear the wind whipping in our mics, and I think it might have affected that ball even though it was on the ground.
Yeah, the weight of the pass wasn't right, but the general pattern was good. Buzio making a good arc to his run, and Fessler reading the situation just didn't execute the weight of the pass.
Sporting in some good moments here. Another forced turnover in a good position.
It's a good skill there, but Freeman needs to react quicker when he loses it. It's okay, you take your chance in that part of the field, but when you lose it, you've got to fight harder to win it back. You can see in that split moment he switched off and let Real Madrid get out of the pressure.
Real Madrid pumps it out of play, so it'll be a Sporting KC throw.
Oh, fantastic half turn by Duke. Brave to get that ball and then skillful to hold the defender on one shoulder and turn to the other shoulder.
Cameron Duke, big prospect in the Sporting KC system, USA Youth International.
Some observers note that Duke is the heart and soul of the team. There's a lot of talented pieces, but they all revolve around Duke running the show in the middle.
There's an attempt at a little reverse from Tyler Freeman.
There we talk about reaction moments. The through ball didn't come off, but Fessler continues to harass the opponent, continues to press, and that's what happens. You force them into a turnover. That's a big part for these younger players. A lot of times younger players have the ability, but it's the transition moments where they're not as good as first-team players. When the ball goes out of bounds, when the ball turnovers, they switch off for just 1 second. At higher levels, that 1 second you can get punished.
From that free kick, it's big diagonal and headed forward into the grateful arms of Tony Fuidias. Just over 15 minutes played here, still scoreless between Sporting Kansas City and Real Madrid. There's Diaz in midfield. Well, he's named Diaz, but his number is 14 and he plays as a number 6. Somewhat confusing. He did well there to split the press of Sporting Kansas City. And here he is again on the ball.
Now, Carter, do you like, you mentioned at the start that you like when they're 1 to 11. I kind of prefer when their numbers are like 256 or 49. I like when they're, and the reason that happens is that the first team is 1 to 20. Maybe your USL team is 20 to 40. And then your academy team takes the next numbers, and U19 probably has 40 to 60, and U17. I really like when there's that unity throughout the whole system.
It is cool.
Makes our jobs harder.
It certainly does. It's a trait of a lot of Mexican clubs that they use those triple-digit numbers, and I agree that is a cool little thing to see players progress from number 243 all the way up into the starting 11.
And I think it's cool when you make that player fight for these. When you get number 8, then it means something. That's your lifelong goal, to get that jersey number.
Thankfully for me, it's 1 through 11 for SKC today. Here's a free kick. Decent delivery, but in the end, it's pretty easy for Trejo.
And it's well done by Trejo. Anything in the air with the wind today is going to be difficult. Trejo made it look easy, but that's the kind of ball under these circumstances could have been boffed, but he didn't do it.
I was watching some goalkeeping coaches from several teams just trying to train their goalies today with this tough wind. They can't even hit the balls in the right areas because they don't know how to play the ball in this wind right now. That's how difficult those swirling winds are today.
That was the second pass we've seen from an SKC center back into this left channel at the Real Madrid left center back. Clearly something they had talked about in training and video before. that when Real Madrid presses, this is where we're going to hit them.
Looking towards Gabriel Finley in those moments. Diaz sprays it wide right for Javier.
These are key moments of the game. We're now in the 19th minute. The nerves are starting to fade off. The adrenaline is fading off. But can you keep your focus heightened? Do you relax mentally and physically? We talk about the first and last 5 minutes of a half to be important. But those are often the easiest as a player because you know the intensity that's going to be in that moment. It's when you start to get comfortable in a game that you need to refocus and remind yourself the importance of every play.
Sporting earns a foul there after nice tackle on the back line from Cave Rad. And there's a yellow card, first of the afternoon for Real Madrid. Didn't quite catch a number on who was going into Greg Dopka's books. He's the head ref today, joined by Joe Zabatowski, Elias Arfa, and Fabrizio Staitola.
Rad needs to be smart here because Sporting Kansas City is extremely stretched. They've got 5 players across a line in front, meaning if they give a ball away in the next few seconds, Real Madrid is going to be coming right back at them.
They take it short, Sporting.
Uh-oh, and here it is, as we said.
Sporting has their pockets picked, and it could lead to a breakaway for Real Madrid. Coming down the other end is Camuno.
You could just see that coming. They didn't appear to have many options on the ball. Nobody from SKC was trying to present themselves. And as a center midfielder, at times, you've got to say, hey, we want to be a passing team. We want to play possession, but if it's not on, we've got to limit the risk. And that's particularly the center back in the defensive midfield's job, to limit risk at times.
Certainly not the best area to give it away from a free kick as well. And now a foul called as Real Madrid sprinting forward through their right back, Diego. Diego Rodriguez Lopez. And Real Madrid will get things started quickly here.
It's exactly a spot in front of the back four that SKC needs to protect the channel. They cannot let Real Madrid get the ball in those areas in front of the back four. Fortunately, the player didn't turn, but if he had, he would have been free running right at Rad.
It's a slack back pass there from Finley, and here comes Doutor, sliding it to Julio. Cross, a little deep past everyone, but to his other fullback, and now Diego can get a ball into the box. Still loose in the area. Julio, he'll have a shot, in off the post. And Real Madrid opens the scoring, the left back charging forward, and it's a beautiful finish to give Madrid the 1-0 lead.
And that all started in the SKC right back zone on an overlap. Peterson, the Sporting right back, did not drop quick enough. In that scenario, when a player overlaps, the player on the ball needs to take the runner, and somebody else needs to step and take the ball. Peterson reacted slow. The runner got beyond him. Real Madrid got the cross off him. From there, it's scrambling. From there, it's always going to be tough if you don't take care of the fundamentals to stop the original danger.
So, tough start to the game for Sporting Kansas City. As Real Madrid pounce on a mistake. They lead by 1-0.
But these are the moments that Sporting Kansas City staff, that the national team staff are going to be watching. You're down 1-0 to Real Madrid. The crowd is gathering. How do you react? Do you shell up? Do you get nervous? Do you get scared? Or do you say, screw it, let's go get that goal back because we've been a competitive team in this game?
There's a loose header back towards the keeper, who makes a fantastic save and a double save from Trejo.
Fantastic from Trejo. We talked earlier how it was about reactions. This moment was about decision making. When the player gets that close, you just try and make yourself as big as possible. You can see him here spreading out. He stays high. He got a little lucky because he dropped his torso low, but ultimately he made his legs as big as possible, which is the right decision there. And it worked out for him.
What a huge moment from Max Trejo to keep the deficit at just the 1 goal.
Real Madrid setting picks at the top of the box.
Oh, what a chance that was for Latasa. Excellent delivery. Gets above everyone inside the 6 and heads it over.
And look for this ball to come right. Freeman on the left center back for Real Madrid. Is it going to come again? I like that extra pass. Soak Real Madrid to that side and then switch. Nicely done by Sporting Kansas City.
Tough take there for Cam Duke, but he handled it with aplomb.
Sport needs somebody to run behind now. Freeman checking as the number 9. When center forward checks, either one of the wingers or Busio, the number 10, needs to run beyond the striker and exploit that space. It doesn't happen. We could see the ball came in to someone, hoping that somebody would make that run, and nobody was there.
Here's a ball over the top, as you mentioned, to nobody, and Real Madrid now trying to build from the back. Lofted forward to Latasa. And Bobby, you mentioned how does Sporting Kansas City respond? And talking to the technical staff, they said one of the key things they'll be looking for is learning from mistakes, especially players at this age.
Yeah, and learning the mistakes, especially on the fly in tough moments. It's one thing to figure out after the game, to be able to sleep on it and then prove it the next day. At the end of the day, you've got to teach these kids to win, and that's what a lot of these clubs say about Ga Cub. Some tournaments throughout the year, it's about process, it's about growing and developing. But at some point, you have to put the pressure on these kids to win. Because as you move up in levels, livelihoods for both players and coaches depend on winning. So can you figure it out in the moment? Can you say, I just messed this up, but we're getting rocked in this way, and solve that problem within a matter of seconds or minutes?
It's a good tackle there from Finley to win possession back. Sporting trying to play it from the back. Of course, something that Peter Vermees is really looking to do with the Sporting Kansas City system. Just play this unified system throughout the academy.
And you talk about solving problems, it was gorgeous to see what just happened there. Peterson had the ball in the right back zone, and we were just talking about who's going to stretch the game for Sporting Kansas City. And as soon as Peterson looked up his head, Busio made one step into check and then tried to run behind, put up his head, saying, play me into the channel behind the defense. Sporting Kansas City was missing that run just to play a go. And here we talk about solving problems. Busio figures it out and tries to make that movement.
Finley wins the header, and Sporting has some numbers here. Streaming forward, Duke trying to loft it over for Freeman. It's well read. Santos Fernandez there for Madrid. And now Madrid immediately up the field, try and counter. It's a ball to the right back, Diego.
Rad needs to open his hips in the middle. He's facing the ball. He's square towards the sideline. That is why Latasa is getting opportunities, because of moments and body posture like that from the center backs. If you're facing the sideline and don't have your hips open, it's tougher to react when that ball goes over your shoulder towards the back post, which is why Latasa's gotten on 2 of those for headers.
Battle for possession along the far side, and Real Madrid able to come away. Dotor tries to find Julio, who slips. This could be a chance for Finley to get in behind. Instead, he'll elect to keep possession. Sporting can knock it around the back line.
Carter, I heard a lot of good things about multiple players on the Sporting Kansas City. As we watch tape and we ask around the country for what they think of these players, perhaps more than any other team, they talk about multiple players on the Sporting team. Busio, Freeman, Duke, the Rad brothers. And I would like to see one of them take the initiative to get on the ball more. I mean, Carter, as we watch this game, can you say that one of them has really had a big impact? I mean, who's going to be the one to say, we're struggling a little bit right now, or we need to get a hold of this game? Who's going to be the one to say, hey, give me the ball. I'm going to work 10% harder to get on the ball. Because ultimately, as we talk to the people in charge of development around MLS and around U.S. soccer, that's what they're looking for. Because it's hard to judge how technical ability or how physical ability will transition to the next level. But you know what you can trust? What kind of person these kids are. Are they brave? Are they intelligent? Can they read a moment? So as we go into the last 7 minutes of this half, I'd really like to see one of these star players for SKC say, guys, give me the ball. And he really works hard to get involved in the game right now.
It's a good reminder from Bobby that these halves are 35 minutes in the GA Cup, so just 7 minutes or so remaining for Sporting Kansas City with the wind at their backs. But it's Madrid with the ball on the left side. Cross is hooked away by Rad. Straight back to Julio, the goal scorer.
Nice. Duke on his back. You can't let him off the hook then. Duke gave him a foot there, and they got away with it, but he almost turned out of pressure. I'm not sure why that wasn't a foul, though.
Did look like a foul there on Busio in midfield. Nothing given, which allows me to announce that the challenge moments ago was a yellow card for Mitch Eyes along the far side.
Oh, Sporting Kansas City cannot let this happen. You had 10, 15 seconds to get up the field and close the pocket on the throw-in. Those are the kind of moments that you have to take advantage of. You could not let a good team out of their corner on a throw-in like that.
Just about get away with it this time. Learning moments for sure for this Sporting KC team. Finley still battling along the near side.
We've watched a few of these Champions Group games now, and it just feels like the intensity and the pace of this game is a little slower. Maybe it's because it's later in the day and these players had to wait all day and the anticipation just kind of bored them a little bit. But it feels like there's not a ton of urgency from both teams, which of course is good. You know, it shows maturity from the players that they're not overwhelmed by the moment, that they're not going into rash tackles. But you'd also just like to see KC step up their tempo a little more. Especially because it's part of the culture of their club. High intensity, high pressure. It's what Peter Vermees asked for from his first team every single day.
Ball lofted forward. Tough one to deal with as it's bouncing around in the wind. And a foul against Alvaro for Real Madrid. And we talked about it. That's a goal for Peter Vermees is total integration from the lowest academy team all the way up to the first team. And that's why they brought in a guy like Michel Ribeiro from Genk to try and help with that integration from bottom to top. And Bobby, does that help a youth academy team if they know that they're going to play exactly like the first team?
It certainly helps your pathway to get into that first team because, you know, the speed of the game might change, the quality of the players might be higher, but at least you still know what your role is in every given situation. When you're supposed to press, when you're supposed to drop, when and how you're supposed to make each pass. Just makes it easier to step into the first team, which is already obviously a tough thing to do. But if you can make the game as familiar as possible, you're giving your players a chance to succeed.
There's good build-up from Sporting Kansas City. Just about slowed down in the final third, but still in possession through Fessler. He's turned his opponent well. SKC still building. Cross to the back post. Finley is there in some space, cutting onto his left foot. In at the keeper, and it's a fisted save away from a fizzing shot by Gabriel Finley.
Gorgeous play all around from SKC. I love how Fessler changed his pace there when he decided to break through the lines. You keep it, you suck the defense into one side, and as soon as you decide to go, you go, and SKC did that as a unit. Fessler with a nice hard pass into Freeman, who lays it off, and it felt like SKC was on the same page, changing their pace to get through the lines. And then I really like that touch with his left foot inside from Gabriel Finley to get by the defender. And he hit the target. That's the first thing you ask for in that situation.
Certainly got some sting behind it as well. Required a decent save from Tony Fuidias. Certainly that's the best passage of play from Sporting Kansas City, and has it maybe given them a little bit of confidence here. Still maintaining possession, just a couple minutes left in this first half, trailing by a goal to none. There's that diagonal we've seen several times. Duke tries to take it on the chest, and rolls back to the goalkeeper.
For the last few minutes, SKC staying high, increasing their pressure. Duke almost acting like a second forward, a little bit of ghost pressure. They're staying high, blocking lanes, but not exactly pressing at the Real Madrid back line. And this is exactly what they're looking for. They want Real Madrid to try and play out, and as soon as they do break that initial line, that's when they press and try and win the ball. That went exactly to Sporting's game plan.
Duke's pass intercepted, but still with Sporting KC. As initially it was given as a Sporting Kansas City throw, but now the center ref has come over to change the call.
Carter, as we look at the field, there's nobody from SKC really organizing or firing up his team right now. In the last minute, they need to stay focused, but they also have an opportunity. They're running the game. And in matches like this between two tight teams, you need to feel the moments and the spans when you're on top, and you need to capitalize. You need to score your goals in those.
Some good work from Real Madrid to free Camunas, who gets his cross into the area. Hooked clear by Eyes. And now Duke looking for Busio. Just tried to get a touch, but Diego able to get there. Number 2 for Real Madrid, just a step quicker.
Great defending by Duke. He saw the lane behind him. He cut it off, and then he put pressure on the ball. He didn't get support from his other center midfielders, but a great initial pressure.
We've seen plenty of crosses coming in from this Real Madrid team today. And again, they try to get it wide, but Peterson intercepts the pass. Sporting trying to put it in an area for Freeman to chase. So we are officially into stoppage time here in the first half. Sporting Kansas City seem to have grown into the game after conceding the opener from Julio. There's another smacked clearance, this time by Abdul Nadi.
And Carter, I've mentioned what SKC could be doing better right now, what they need to do better, but ultimately they should feel okay about this half. And overall, they've played well. For the most part, they've limited Real Madrid's opportunities. You need to say, we didn't play our best, but we're still in this game. We've absolutely got a chance to win. They know that their best players did not put in their best performances in the first half. They were fine. They shouldn't be upset about it. Take nothing away from them. But it's a positive note that they can be not at their best and still be within reach against good opponents.
Referee giving a final warning for delaying a restart here. It's been a focus in MLS this season.
One of the poor 4 points of emphasis, we're told by the referees.
Always interesting to see if those points are indeed emphasized.
Yeah, it's like they always say at the beginning of the year, right? Then they forget about a month in.
Busio here. His time is dwindling in this first half. Cuts it in on his right foot. Finds Rad in midfield. Some space here along the right-hand side for Sporting Kansas City.
Not much movement from either Busio or Freeman to find that ball. And those are the seconds we're looking at right now.
And it's Duke whistled for the foul. As Dotor was back to deal defensively. 8-on-8 crime there. Real Madrid not at all in a rush to take this free kick. Again, they are against the wind in this first half, although hasn't been as much of a factor as in other games. And so that is that's the whistle for halftime here from Greg Dobka, as Sporting Kansas City will go into the break trailing by a goal to nothing. Bobby Warshaw still very much in this game.
Absolutely, and Sporting Kansas City should feel good about where they're at right now. At the end of the day, you're not going to play every half exactly how you want. But they gave up that early goal, and they responded well. They had their opportunities in this game to tie, and they need to feel like their best players are going to put a better performance in the second half. So SKC should feel okay going into halftime right now.
Real Madrid get the goal through the left back Julio. Up in the area with a nice slotted finish in off the far post. Some decent saves from Max Trejo to keep Sporting Kansas City in it. And in the end, a nice save by Tony Fuidias to keep the score at 1-0 as we go into halftime. Stick with us. We'll be right back for the second half kick between Sporting Kansas City and Real Madrid at the 2018 Generation Adidas Cup. Welcome back to Frisco, Texas. Halftime just about over here between Real Madrid and Sporting Kansas City. Real Madrid holding a slender 1-0 lead at the halftime break. We thank you for watching and joining us today, whether it's on MLS YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or on Sporting Kansas City Twitter. Again, alongside Bobby Warshaw, I'm Carter Augustine. And still, all 3 points very much up for grabs in this second half, Bobby.
Absolutely. Kansas City went down midway through the first half, but responded well. And you can't say that one team has had the better of play. Real Madrid's had a couple more chances, but Kansas City absolutely could have scored once or twice in that first half.
So the teams switch ends. Sporting Kansas City, and they're all indigo blue.
And I would expect the Sporting Kansas City staff at halftime to look at their players and say, hey, we're fine, huh? Here we are playing the famous Real Madrid. You guys are doing great. You're in this game. You guys could be level right now. So I really would expect the Sporting Kansas City players to come out with a little more initiative, a little more energy to get on the ball and feel confident to do what they do week in and week out in the developmental academy around the U.S.
Of course, Sporting in fine form in the DA, as well as in the qualifying for this Ga Cub.
In the second half, two things to look for from Kansas City. One is for these top players, Duke, Fessler, Busio, to get on the ball more. Like this, right here. Busio coming back and saying, I haven't touched the ball enough, give it to me. He loses it, but that's where you want to see him, just trying to find it.
There's a clever flick, but what a wonderful challenge. Abdul Nadi at the very last second, able to usher that one out for a corner kick.
Great tackle there. And the second thing you like to see from Sporting Kansas City in the second half is somebody running behind. Does somebody say, I don't need the ball to my feet, I'm going to stretch Real Madrid, and even if I don't get it, it creates space for other players. So look for those two things.
There'll be an in-swinging corner here from Alvaro, the number 10 for Real Madrid. He puts it into the side netting.
And with the wind at his back, what he wanted to do there is just put it towards the goal and let both the spin of the ball and the wind take it right towards the net. Just overhooked it a little bit.
You hear the wind picking up in our mics again. It's been gusting throughout this game. Trejo puts it out from the goal kick. I don't think the wind has had as much of an effect on this game as it has on others, but you could tell that the danger is still there. Gusts up to 33 miles an hour. There's a battle on the near side.
And they have him pinned here. Casey cannot let them out. Nicely done. Oh, and Fessler just overruns it and allows him to turn. And that's a little detail that you'll learn as you get older. You're going to recognize these moments of pressure and pockets, and when you have them, and you have to realize you cannot let good teams out of pressure like that.
Rad gifts it back to Real Madrid. Latasa, you can hear shouts for Lata on the far post.
Nicely done by Peterson. We said on the first goal by Real Madrid, he missed his assignment in shifting properly, and that time he did a great job on the weak side. Always tough for an outside back to follow the runner. But there he acknowledged he didn't need to win the ball, got good body position, and gave the nudge.
And that ball on the back post was for a new player for Real Madrid in this second half, number 15, Lancho. One of a couple players on this Madrid roster that started their youth career with Rayo Vallecano. And I guess that's just the breaks when you're Rayo Vallecano, the third team in Madrid. You're going to lose a few players to Real. Here's a center back coming forward. Has a smack. Sergio Santos Fernandez, and that required a good save from Max Trejo.
Once again, the wind makes it tough. Already the velocity of the shot caught up in the wind. Trejo decides to play it safe. Instead of trying to hold it or keep it in play, just get it out for a corner kick and limit the damage.
So he punches it clear, and that will be a corner.
And here we see, as we saw the first time, they tried to just put it in on goal. A small player, Duke, in the front zone. Real Madrid puts their tallest player in that zone. It appears they're just going to drive it or whip it right at his head. Like we saw on a free kick early in the first half. He doesn't get it, it just goes in on goal. Ooh, nicely done again by Peterson. Realizes he doesn't need to win it. Gets good body position and just throws the attacker off balance so the ball can run out of bounds.
See it. Pat on the back from his center back partner, Cave Rad. Nicely done there from Keith Peterson. Oh, there's a poor giveaway, and now Real Madrid into the area. Rad tries to smash it clear, and the other Rad there to clean it up.
Carter, we talk about them solving problems. That's 3 times in a row they've failed to play out. It's hard. These are the things you're going to face in a game. You're going to be uncomfortable. What are they going to do? Some of their options would be when Real Madrid presses and they step, there's always going to be a gap in front of the center back. So instead of either playing it to the outside back, playing it to a center mid, play a clipped little floating ball into your forward check-in.
A long throw into the area. Still loose. Finally booted up into the air. Busio tries to take it down. He's unable to. Here's Vasi. Didn't hear much from him in the first half, but he's done well initially. And a back heel attempt. And the defensive third goes out for a corner kick again to Real Madrid. Starting to add up the set pieces here early on in the second half.
Real Madrid going with the same setup, bringing the tall player in front of Duke in the front zone. Kansas City responds by putting Duke on the post, bringing Rad out to man mark. But there it goes, that exact spot where the front zone player is. They've got a second player running on, and he gets ahead to it.
Now for a goal kick. You mentioned it. Starting to look more and more dangerous from those set pieces. Finley able to draw a foul here, and maybe this will relieve a bit of pressure for Sporting Kansas City.
Carter, I'm all for teams being brave and accepting the pressure and trying to play through the lines. But at some point, you can't just be brave. You've got to problem solve a little bit. You can't keep on trying to do the same thing if it's not working. Just make a little adjustment. Maybe it's your change your runs. You have one player come in, another player come out. I'm not sure we've seen Sporting Kansas City do that. So while I applaud the idea that they're willing to take on the pressure, to be courageous, they need to think their way through this a little bit too. And that's part of player development.
There's Finley trying to come back and put his mark on the game, getting on the ball, but unable to create anything of substance along that far side.
And maybe what Sporting Kansas City needs to do from a coaching perspective is we talk about where is the gap right now. And if Real Madrid's pressing so much, the gap's going to be in between the pressing midfielders and the center backs around the midfield line. But Sporting Kansas City does not have the type of striker who can hold up that play. Freeman and Busio are not those guys, so maybe they make an adjustment, bring on more of a hold-up player, and place a Freeman soon.
Interested to see what, if any, adjustments are made by either of these coaching staffs. Of course, we've heard the one sub already made for Real Madrid, Lancho. You do get to make 5 substitutions with no re-entry in the Ga Cub. Plenty of options on the bench for Sporting Kansas City.
The second thing Sporting Kansas City can do in most of this game, Fessler, who's usually a center midfielder, has played on the left, and Busio has been in the number 10 role as the third center midfielder. What they can do, talking about bringing players in and out of rotations when you're trying to keep possession, is move Busio out and have him drag away a defender and have Fessler, who's often a center midfielder, come from that wide area to the vacated space to get on the ball. They have options. The question is, can they figure it out on the field?
There's Fessler, a little overzealous after he lost the ball, trying to win it back. We talk about vertical integration with the Sporting Kansas City team. That includes the USL side, Swope Park Rangers, and several of these academy kids just earned Swope Park Rangers academy contracts, including Ryan Fessler and the 2 Rad brothers in the starting lineup. So a chance for the academy boys to prove themselves this season in the USL.
How's Swope Park looking early in the season? Do they have a chance to make it 3 straight finals?
Well, they've always said that getting to the final isn't the goal of the Swope Park Rangers. It's to get players to the first team, but it is a strong team again. They opened the season with a 4-3 victory in the snow in Reno last Saturday.
Who are the players that have gone through Swope Park to the first team now? Shallowy?
Shallowy is one. Amir Jidic. Busio, technically. Carlton Belmar has earned himself a contract with the first team. There's been a few examples that can help these younger players see real returns from their investment. This one is pumped into the back corner, and there's Finley again.
That's okay though, that's a giveaway, but they're pinning Real Madrid back. It relieves pressure. Kansas City has been under severe pressure for a few minutes, and now they just get a chance to breathe, and these are the moments that you can solve problems. I mean, I understand I'm hard on the Sporting kids for not trying to figure out ways out, but that's because the game's moving fast. It's in those times when you have a minute to breathe on a free kick, you've got to say, hey, what do we have to do to solve this? And it's generally on the center back, so a lot of emphasis goes on to both Rad brothers as a center back and a defensive midfielder.
And I thought it was Finley, but that's actually a sub for Sporting who came in at halftime for the left back position. Trejo under pressure there. Able to just about get it forward to Finley. Did well initially, but it's poked away from him. And that is number 13, Brant Betts, checking in at left back for Mitch Eyes, who did pick up a yellow card in that first half. So number 13, Betts, now slotted in at left back. He's making his way up the pitch. Slipped there, but was able to recover and maintain possession.
Look here, if you can't see on your screen, but as Real Madrid steps, here's one player stepping. As Busio comes to check the ball, the defensive midfielder comes with him. There's a 25-yard gap in between the two Real Madrid defensive midfielders and the center backs, and that's what Kansas City has to find right now. Busio checks, he's coming to the ball into your screen. You can see your player, follow him.
Ball into the feet of Finley. He loses out. Julio, the goal scorer. Still Julio. He keeps the ball, and Sporting able to press that chance all the way back to the goalkeeper. Another substitute for Sporting, as this was an offside flag raised.
And this is the kind of sub we were talking about. They bring in a bigger, stronger player in the number 9 position to act as a hold-up, to be a release valve when their center backs are under pressure against win in Real Madrid, trying to close them down early.
It's Tyler Freeman who has made his way off the pitch, and coming in is Mason Leith up top, big number 16. There's a foul on the far side as Vasi did well, and there's a yellow card as well for one of the Rad brothers. That will be Convey Rad going into the book. And head coach Rumba Munthali giving his opinion to the referee. Minutes just about gone here in this second half.
Kansas City holding their line at the top of the 18. I like this from Kansas City. As Real Madrid goes backwards, it's an opportunity for KC to press and get their line up.
Header flicked on behind the back line. And Vasi challenging with Mo Abdul Nadi. A couple of step overs onto the left foot. Decent shot from Alvaro, but it's blocked away and out for a corner.
Good second defender action there from Sporting Kansas City. In that part of the field, you don't want players to get isolated, so it's a 1v1 game. You've always got to be close, so if they do get beat, you can step and defend and block the shot, and that's exactly what happened there.
Good secondary defending prevents look like a shot on goal. Results in this corner, one of several in this second half for Real Madrid. There's a towering header Cave Rad.
If Kansas City can get on the end of this, they're 2v2 at midfield.
That one's popped back into a dangerous area.
And here it is, 3v3 running forward. Great layoff by Busio. Fessler can pick up his head.
That first touch from Fessler just allowed the defender to retreat back and get on the ball.
Nice half turn by Rad to get out of pressure there.
Peterson now looking for the run of Finley. That Finley-Julio battle has been an enticing one throughout this match. Julio just sticking a boot in there to play it out for a throw. Finley again, here's space for Rad. Finds a good ball for Fessler.
Nice movement by Sporting. The wide winger comes in, the outside back gets around him.
Into Busio on the penalty spot. It's blocked and out for a corner. Good build up there from Sporting KC.
It started from the movement off the ball. Pre-planned rotation, the defensive midfielder gets to pick up his head, in comes the winger, around him goes the outside back. Busio finds space as number 10 in the middle of the field to create goals.
Just trying to get a shot away on the turn there. You saw in the replay. Deflected out for this corner, which Busio himself will go over to take.
Outswinger coming. Busio's going to try and put this on the back of the 6 for one of the Rad brothers to try and get ahead on it. Sometimes it's easier for an outswinger to get the power when the ball's at the back post like that.
As Bobby mentioned, you can see all the Sporting players lining up in that area. Busio, it's in the dangerous area. And defended well by Real Madrid, but Brant Betts did well to play it off a Madrid player and out of play for a Sporting throw.
Nicely done by Fessler, and great control by Duke. Here we go. This is the kind of movement from Duke we've been waiting to see. One of the better box-to-box midfielders in the country at this age group has been somewhat quiet. That's the kind of movement we've been waiting for.
Wonderful run forward through several Merengue defenders. And in the end, Duke able to pick up a foul, and so a chance for Busio on a set piece again. Just set his sights about a minute or two ago.
Can he get the ball to Duke? Can he play the short now? Had to wait for the referee. I was hoping he could take advantage of a quick transition moment.
Looked like Duke and Busio were thinking the same thing. The referee marking off the 10 yards for the wall.
KC runners staggered about 4 yards in between them, going from the far corner of the 18 towards the middle of the goal.
Busio's delivery in towards the near post, looking for a flick. And a goal kick is given here. That'll allow for a double change along the far side. Number 19, Alex Flores Mendoza checking in, as well as number 3, Marcos. So the big number 9, Latasa, will be withdrawn, as will the right back, Diego. Like for like here, as it seems, for both of these substitutions for Real Madrid. Marcos is a highly rated attacking fullback along the right-hand side. Madrid trying to get the ball forward quickly here. Fassi to Dotor. Good footwork along the far side. He wanted a tug on the jersey. Did Flores. Excuse me, that was Lancho. Nothing given there, out for a goal kick for Sporting KC.
And Carter, we're entering the last 15 minutes, and Sporting has played well. They've done enough to win this game, but in a competition like Ga Cub, and especially against an opponent like Real Madrid, at some point you've got to find a way to win. We can't pat our young players on the back and say, hey, you played well, but it's okay you didn't win. As we've said earlier, jobs are won and lost based on winning, finding ways to eke it out. And it's a trait, it's a skill. Can you do the little things to get points at the end of a game?
See the challenge there that resulted in a ball being lost in the parking lot.
It's one of my favorite parts of youth events. Balls going into the parking lot, hitting cars.
Multi-ball. Wind hasn't been helping in that regard either. Finally, we're back under play here. Nice little turn there from Forres. He's gotten lucky and tried to find his fellow substitute Marcos along the right-hand side. Goes out of play.
I like seeing Trejo chase after that ball, trying to keep the speed of play up. Get the ball back in play.
This is one of those top-down things from the Sporting Kansas City system. You'll see Tim Melia really try and restart goal kicks as quickly as possible. Evidently that has made its way down to the academy system as well.
As we said, 15 minutes left. We've been waiting for a couple of the star players to take more initiative, and here he is, Bucio, coming back to the top of his 18 to find the ball. And sometimes you look at a forward doing that and you say he's getting impatient, but it feels like the right decision. It feels like a player reading the moment, understanding that his team needs him in these last few minutes and he needs to take a more active role, especially to help relieve pressure in moments like this. There's a big gap, and that's exactly what we've been waiting for. That exact pass didn't come off there, it got a little deflected, but that's exactly the movement we've been looking for from KC.
Bucio has it taken off his toes, and this can lead to a Madrid chance along the other end. Slipped in behind, wonderful ball, tucked home finish, and quickly from the turnover, Real Madrid up the other end, and they make it 2-0.
Great goal. The forward runs off the blind side, off the shoulder of the defender. He doesn't even see him moving. Such a deft touch. There it goes. He feints far post. He makes the run back across on the blind side of the defender. Such a hard run to track for a center back, and such a nice ball right into his path. He picks up his head. He sees the goalkeeper on the near side. Plays it to the far side of the goal. Very nicely executed goal all around by Real Madrid.
They've doubled their lead here, Real Madrid, through, it appeared, number 19, Forres. The pass, which made the goal. Vasi comes up with the assist.
Carter, we said at the beginning of the game, perhaps what's going to separate these teams is not the run of play. Because Sporting's look good for large stages of this game. They've had a lot of the ball. They've dictated parts of the game, but it's just that efficiency in the final third. You know, the idea of being clinical around goal. And KC has had their chances, they just haven't executed. Having played in some of these games when I was younger, about the same age, there was a lot of times we walked off the field against Juventus and against Ajax and we said, we played well, we ended up losing 2 or 3-0 because those 2 opportunities they got, they finished, and that's what we're seeing here today.
It really was a superb first-time finish from a wonderful ball there. And to go with that first half goal from Julio, also a nice finish tucked in, caressed off the far post. Real Madrid have certainly taken their chances. Stoppage in play, and that'll allow for another Madrid substitution, as Diaz, number 14, being withdrawn from his number 6 position for the actual number 6, Enico Delgado Gines. So Sporting now find themselves 2 goals down to Real Madrid. As we mentioned earlier on in this Group C action in the Champions Division, Club Atlético Paranense downed NYCFC 3-0 after a New York City red card. So Real Madrid looking to get 3 points to tie in terms of total points. Of course, they'll be behind on goal difference at the moment. Still time here for Sporting Kansas City. minutes or so to go as they work it along the back line. There's a slip, though, that could allow Madrid in behind. And in the end, a decent recovery from the mistake by Abdul Nadi. Busio surrounded by 3 white shirts. And now Rad will sprint forward from his center back position. Hangs up a nice ball into the inside right channel. That's a cross that goes high into the air, affected by the wind. Real Madrid come out with it.
Betts has been good since entering the game. Made a couple smart reads and interceptions. Has kept his composure when being pressed on the ball. Now, one element of this game is KC wants to go get a goal back, if not get a draw, but goal differential matters. They can't stretch themselves too much. They're going to try and go get a result, but they also have to be smart. They can't throw numbers forward without thinking about the importance of goal differential.
Well, Abdul Nadi.
Busio fading far post. He needs to run near. Get across that line, center defender.
Finley sprinting towards the end line. He plays it out for a corner kick. How about a word there for Mo Abdul Nadi? Makes the tackle inside his own area, sprints forward, and sprays out a nice ball to start the break with his left foot. That results in a corner kick. Gianluca Busio raises his hand, delivers in towards the near post, headed away at the near post. And now Real Madrid looking to stream numbers forward on the counterattack. This could be danger for Sporting KC. Just hugging the offside line there was Vasi. Cuts it towards the edge of the area. And again, it's Abdul Nadi able to poke it clear. Duke was looking for the run of Leith. Just a little too heavy, a little too much to do for Leith there, trying to get in behind. Madrid now through Marcos. Gets a step over to create a little space for the cross, but he overcooks it.
These are always difficult minutes for any player. When you were so excited for the game, and now you are 6-7 minutes left, you're down 2-0, it feels like the game is over. You had so much hope and aspiration coming into such a big event, and you're wondering what you're going to do over these last 6 or 7 minutes. It's something you have to actively acknowledge and fight through and say, we can do this, we can get this back, these minutes have meaning.
And like you said, even if you don't get the 2 goals back, just getting 1 goal back could prove huge at the end of the day in these group standings. A couple of subs being made for each team here, as Gabriel Finley will have played his last of the night. Sporting Kansas City get it restarted. Checking in for him was Michael Scavuso. Rad playing it to his center half partner. Fessler just allowing the ball to run across his body there, but couldn't get the right weight on the pass.
You know who has to feel okay watching this game is NYCFC. They lost today, but they have to be thinking when they play Real Madrid this week that they can get points from them. Real Madrid's been good, but certainly not unbeatable. On a different day, Sporting could have gotten points in this game.
Certainly you would think that. Of course, that's the next game for NYCFC, so they'll be without one of their big players, Justin Hack, who got the red card in the game against Paranense. throw over the head of Abdul Nadi. Vasi, who didn't hear much from him in the first half, but he certainly picked up his game in the second half, and he knew that ball was last off a Sporting Kansas City defender.
And it was a nice nudge by Vasi just to throw Abdul Nadi off balance. We've talked about that a few times. Peterson had a couple on the back post. And it's nice to see when these young players can recognize those little nuances. I don't always need to win the ball, but if I get to the space and I throw the opposition off balance, I can get to the next play.
Betts sticks his foot in there actively again. And actually it's off a Real Madrid player, so Sporting can try and break away here.
Nice from Busio to react quickly.
Five minutes or so left to go here in the second half. Sporting Kansas City looking for the goal that will drag them back in this game. Quickly take it from Busio, trying to spot the run.
And that's exactly the ball that Sporting's needed all night. A runner from a wide area running into the space behind. As the center forward checks, bring center backs forward and exploit that space. They've been needing to stretch the Real Madrid defense, and it took them until 4 minutes left in the game to go for it.
That was Cam Duke trying to stride forward. But now here comes Real Madrid. Just at the last second able to get the pass away. Cross blocked though. Keith Peterson denies the service. And now for Eneko. Dotor, he's been pretty good today. Lining up the shot. Full extension save from Trejo.
We jinxed Betts apparently. Said how well he was playing, and then, ooh, that one's going to hurt tonight.
Allowed Dotor way too much space there. See, uncorked. A nice strike. Had eyes for that top corner, but Trejo making a really good save, not for the first time today either.
Carter, I think a lot of the SKC players are going to have trouble sleeping tonight, and not because they played poorly, but because they played well.
What might have been.
Yeah, what might have been. Right? They're on the verge of playing very well. And those are often the toughest performances to swallow as a player, when you feel good about it, but you know, man, I could have just done a little more. I'm not mad at myself, I expect more of myself.
It was good technique along the back post by a center half. Sergio Santos Fernandez looking like Sergio Ramos there for a minute. In the end, it's harmless. And Bobby, that's what we've been talking about this whole game. How do you respond? And maybe the time has gone to respond in this particular match for Sporting Kansas City, but they have 2 games left in the group, including against the Brazilian team that beat New York City FC.
Definitely a tough task. Atletico Paranaense 3-0 over NYCFC, and 1-0 before the red card.
Against the wind as well.
Against the wind. But as we've said time and time again, Sporting definitely has positives to take from this game. The one thing they need to work on is figure out when they play in the wind again, if they get pressured, what are going to be their attacking patterns? How are they going to play out of pressure? That's not the thing you can leave to players to figure out whether they're 16, 17, or full pros at age 30. It's always hard to figure those things out in the middle of the game. They need to talk about them tonight and tomorrow morning as they go back through film and pre-rehearse their patterns to break teams down if this happens to them again.
That was Mason Leith trying to get in behind. Seen that Jonathan Munoz has checked into the game for Sporting Kansas City, number 12 in midfield.
And we've seen Gianluca Busio come off now. But from a 15-year-old playing an age up, he didn't have a huge impact on the game, but you could see the moments when he recognized, I need to be more involved. My team needs me. I need to assume the responsibility. He didn't do it successfully, but from a 15-year-old, an age group up against such a famed club, that's what you want to see. That's a positive sign from a young player, more so than how did he pass or shoot today. For him to take that responsibility says a lot about who he is as a person, and you can trust that translates as he gets older, if it not grows as he gets older.
Of course, Busio, as we mentioned, the first team contract. An example for other Sporting Kansas City Academy players and how they can impress the coaching staff and earn the way up to the MLS club.
And if you're Cameron Duke tonight, you shouldn't feel bad about the way you played. You should just recognize how important you are to this team. If you're not at your best, Sporting's not going to beat great teams. But you can see the moments when he started to take the game, how effective they were. And they're far and few between tonight, but you can see the flashes.
Just one there as he split a double team. We saw that enterprising run earlier on in this half. Certainly signs from Cameron Duke of why he is such a highly touted prospect, not only in the Sporting KC world, but in American soccer. As we're officially into stoppage time here in Frisco. Time running out on Sporting Kansas City in this game against Real Madrid.
Real Madrid doing a nice game of slowing the game down and seeing it out. Sometimes it's horrible to watch, especially if you're a Sporting fan right now.
Well, 3 points in the group on the line.
That's where Mason Leith needs to make contact with the defender first, especially when a ball's hung up in the wind like that and you can't exactly read where it's going to drop. Bump the defender, create space to give yourself more of a leeway.
Almost like a post-up.
Yep.
Just the ball for Rad on the edge of the area. It looked like he wanted a shot, but it just wouldn't fall into the right area for him to take a shot on. And Leith, there's a bit of that aggression, just a little too much. He's whistled for the foul. We want to remind you to stay with us throughout this wonderful tournament all through next week. We will be bringing coverage on every single match day of the 2018 Generation Adidas Cup.
Tomorrow we have Toronto FC will be shown. FC Dallas is tomorrow.
Of course, just about.
But everyone's being shown. I don't know why I'm listing them off. You can see all your clubs throughout this week on the MLS YouTube channel.
Some good ones on Sunday as well, including NYCFC Real Madrid, FC Dallas Pachuca, Monaco LA Galaxy.
What was the best game you saw today? Either you were calling or just watching.
Into that just a second here as Cameron Duke's trying to stream forward into attack. That is ushered away. I think actually Colorado-Montreal was a decent game. That was one that I called. What about you?
I didn't call the FC Dallas game, but I did enjoy watching it. The pace with what FC Dallas plays at their academy level and the intensity is always fun to watch. But I've also really enjoyed this game. This game has had a lot of nice competitiveness, intensity, some good soccer, some bad soccer to talk about, some learning moments. Overall, KC didn't win this game, and they should be bummed, and I hope they are upset. But there are definitely some tangible, noticeable things that they can take away, talk about tonight, take to the training field, and use in the next game.
It certainly was a fun watch. In the end, Real Madrid coming away victorious. They get a first-half goal from Julio and a second-half goal from Alex Flores Mendoza. And that is enough to get all 3 points here in the first game of Group C action in the Champions Division. And Bobby Warshaw, what can we look forward to from these two teams moving forward?
Real Madrid will tell themselves much of the same. They should feel good about their points. Probably deserved. But Sporting Kansas City played well. They feel it's a good foundation against a good team on the first day. They didn't do anything bad. They should take away from this game that there are certainly things that they can learn from and work on and feel it's only positive things to come in these next 2 games.
Still 2 games to go in the group, so still so much to play for in the 2000.